Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today, as this is a Monday podcast episode where we focus on a specific astrological topic or theme. And today's is going to be a channeled message, but it's actually related to the energies of Saturn and Neptune in the early degrees of Aries, sextiling Pluto in Aquarius retrograde at 3 degrees. So this means that these 3 outer planets are in a harmonious connection that is further developing our Aquarian expressions, energy fields, and galactic codes that will also be taking off in July when Uranus enters Gemini. These Pluto and Aquarius energies are making an important activation to the early degrees of Aries at this time, where Saturn is asking us to be discerning, focused, and wise around the current constructs of our self-identity. And Neptune is bringing in a more expansive, energetic awareness around what that could be for you more personally. So these 2 areas of your chart, early degrees of Aries and early degrees of Aquarius, are in a direct conversation right now, opening you up to more of who you are at a galactic level and bringing in higher frequencies that we are ready to work with and powerfully own. So this is very important for those who relate to galactic energies, who feel a star seed lineage, who feel connected to a bigger star family and off-planet beings that maybe you've already sensed or you're already aware of, but these energies are going to become more impactful and more personal through the second half of 2025, and then as we move through the remaining years of this decade. Then when Uranus enters Gemini July 7th, 2025, the energy also begins to accelerate and take off by activating more of our dormant memories, communications, language, and information that we've held in the multidimensional realms. I feel this is yet again another powerful galactic activation that is syncing up for many people at a personal individual level. And so outlining the astrology is important because, of course, then you can look in your chart at where you have early degrees of Aries, early degrees of Gemini, and early degrees of Aquarius, as these are the 3 parts of your energy that are syncing up and expanding into more multidimensional expressions and self-awareness. And so on that note, the information I was receiving that's important at this time is that one of the most critical groups of beings are unconscious star seeds at this time. And so this started with a message around how unconscious star seeds are awakening at a rapid pace to more than they thought was possible in their lives and in themselves. And that these planetary movements are forcing people into a lot of discomfort, tension, and pressure. Now, you might relate to this. You might be feeling this as well. And that's because there are also parts of ourselves that are awakening at new levels of our own being. And so when we say unconscious star seeds, this isn't just describing a particular persona, but rather describing aspects of ourselves that haven't been fully activated until this earth-based timeline has presented itself and brings in the energetic awareness that takes us into new areas of our own energy. And so this unconscious starseed archetype, description, definition, and however you want to describe it, is something that is feeling the most pressure right now. And they're showing me this pressure as being squeezed up against a barrier, that the energy is pushing you up against a wall. And if it's not you, maybe it's someone in your life, or just an understanding perhaps of what others are going through. But they're being pushed up against a wall to understand and actively experience what is being squeezed out. And that's how they're showing this to me, is a squeezing that can almost feel really suffocating. And it's bringing us to some breaking points that reveals the old parts of ourselves that we're not needing to take forward. And so it's a squeezing out perhaps of density, previous versions of self, old concepts of what you needed to be in this life, meaning what it meant to be a good human, a successful human, what you had to follow or perhaps readily participate in. So part of the squeezing that they're showing me is outdated programming that is meant to affect us at a mass scale. And it shows up usually through some type of fear vibration, discomfort, life-shattering awareness, or a disruptive experience that brings us to a new willingness and desire for greater understanding. And they're saying that this is typically part of the human experience because we live on a planet that has the full spectrum of duality, where we have that deep fear vibration as well as that beautiful, full love expression. And because our planet embodies the spectrum of emotional experiences, that's one of the signatures on Earth, is that we have this full playing field of vast emotions. And that's what we are learning to work with, to hone in on, to choose, and to choose wisely from a place of creator consciousness, to choose from your empowered creator self. What do I want to put energy into? What do I want to focus on that will evolve me, expand me, and ultimately support me as a more empowered being on the planet? And they're showing me that this happens through the squeezing of the fears, and that we meet parts of ourself, parts of our world, or any number of vast experiences. Of course, this is very personal, but you meet that part of yourself in order to evolve it and change it and to understand how you are truly an energy master. But it's about those unconscious aspects coming forward and squeezing you against a wall that we really feel it and take it seriously. And they're saying this is because of how we're ingrained to have survival primal experiences. That sometimes things only get our attention when we are pulled into that survival vibration that triggers deeper parts of ourselves. But as I've talked about multiple times, this is evolving. We are evolving out of primal programming. And I know that was a previous message. I can't remember the date of that. But the primal programming that has operated within humanity is what is evolving collectively, but we have to choose it, and we choose it at an individual level. And so here we are feeling that something is perhaps pushing you again, squeezing you against a barrier, and it's so uncomfortable and there's so much tension around it that it could feel very big and emotional. It could bring up past memories of other lifetimes. It could pull you into parts of yourself that you haven't seen or met for a while. Of course, there's many ways this can play out, so I just want to give you broad strokes here of how I'm seeing the energy. But as this energy is pressuring you against a barrier, it's that squeezing that allows you to discern and be wiser around what you want to choose and how you want to direct your energy. And then when you make a choice, the energetic choice of this is what I'm going to actively put my energy into. And keep in mind, for some people, they won't choose the higher expressions. They won't choose the evolving love-based expressions. They will venture back into more of those lower expressions that are based on fear, anger, pain, war, terror. You get the idea. So not everyone is going to be pressured in a way that leads them higher. This is all part of human choice and your personal sovereignty. This is an honoring of your free will and, of course, how you as a powerful energy creator on the planet wish to direct your energy and use it. But for many who have awakened, you are feeling more of this unconsciousness arising within you that taps you into more of your powerful state. And then I'm seeing the energy go higher for most people. And you're being met with a fear or something of a lower vibration, again, pushing you against this barrier. And you're applying your spiritual tools, your energy wisdom, and your mastery to choose a higher path or move in a direction that aligns you with a higher soul evolution trajectory. And then what happens is as soon as you choose that, this barrier behind you dissolves. it's gone. It releases the squeeze and there's no longer that wall that you're up against. In fact, how I'm seeing this is that as soon as you choose this new direction for yourself, the tension releases. And I'm actually seeing this on the right-hand side. I'm seeing that the energy is on the right-hand side, the higher frequencies. And when you choose it and turn towards that frequency, what dissolves behind you then opens up into this vast, new, beautiful environment and landscape that's pulsing with those higher frequencies. And so I'm seeing this as almost like a ridiculous game where the only way that you get access to the next level of energies is by going through this pressure state and then choosing powerfully and intentionally what you want, and then it all opens up behind you. And this visualization of the energy behind you is meant to represent your own unconscious and subconscious energies that have been limiting your fuller expansion. And they're showing me this as full expansion into the galaxy. And that's how many starseeds arrive, is unconscious and unaware of what they are truly capable of and connected to, because of how we have to densify our energy to be in the 3D. And this is a time of blasting open those dense components of ourselves, including blasting into our own unconsciousness that has played a big role in our lives. And they're saying that this has been useful. This is part of the human journey. And this is also where you start to see more of what you've needed to learn along the way that you could only learn through a dense or unconscious experience. They're saying this is also where we can generate appreciation for our own journeys by looking back on who you used to be or what you used to choose or what you were drawn to. And now we have a very beautiful perspective of contrast, growth, and before and after. So essentially, it's the best of comparison, where you can compare previous versions of yourself to this current present timeline and allow that to demonstrate how powerful you've been in choosing your own experience. Now they're saying this intensifies and accelerates, and that we're moving into a higher stage of mastery that will require us to be more alert in what we're choosing and what we're directing energy towards, because we're going to have these faster transitions occur as we move into the second half of the decade. And they're showing me too, getting back to feeling like maybe you are up against a wall, that there's that barrier behind you that represents your own unconsciousness or the parts of yourself that haven't been fully activated into a higher potential. They're showing me this as energy travel. We would consider it perhaps time travel, but it's instantaneous. And as that energy falls away, as that unconsciousness or that barrier crumbles, and you turn around into a new reality, it could feel like you're on another planet. And they're saying that some people are receiving these cross-dimensional flashback memories. Cross-dimensional flashback memories. And it's a flashback based on the linear time-space continuum of Earth, but it's also your consciousness accessing other experiences that you have and or are having in other concurrent dimensions. And they're saying that for many people, you've activated this part of your soul field, and this is what's guiding you. You are being guided by your own cross-dimensional frequency that is wanting to align you with the highest possible trajectory and outcomes that you can trust and follow. And so that's part of how we're meant to work with these faster moving frequencies, is to know that you're not alone. You're not alone in any of this, and you might start to feel more of those messages and validations arrive that are so familiar and affirm, yes, this is the right choice, this is the right option, or this is the correct energy for me, in a way that is speechless, right? You don't know how to articulate it, and maybe you can't, and that's okay, other than this intense knowingness. Now, I'm also seeing, it's interesting, I'm seeing as this energy falls away behind your back and you move into this new landscape of energies, there are people that you leave behind. And that's because of their own personal choices and growth trajectory. And this is where some people are going to be pushed up against that wall and they're not going to know what to do. Like I'm seeing that some people are frozen in an energy field, and there's a sense of being paralyzed around what to do or what to choose. And again, this is where that unconscious starseed energy is coming up quite strongly. And now I'm seeing it as whether this is you or someone you know, someone in one of your acquaintance circles or work environment, family, whatever the case may be, what's going to happen is that when there is this paralyzed, frozen energy, then the universe comes in really strongly and creates a lot of fast-moving lessons. And I'm seeing these lessons as opportunities to advance quickly and to move ahead quickly. So it's interesting because at first when I felt this, I was like, oh man, that really sucks, right? You think, okay, someone's getting hit with a lot of lessons and difficulties and challenges and, every part of their world is crashing down. But they're showing me a new angle on this, which is that people are being guided to make better choices faster, and depending on if they do so and how they do so is how they then quickly accelerate to this new experience. So in other words, instead of maybe staying in a situation for 2 years, the universe is like, no, we've got to shift this in 3 months. And so the intensification is actually working for them in terms of the higher levels so that they can readjust and pivot very quickly, but only through the intensity of a lot happening at once. Now, if this is happening to you, if this relates to your current experience where you're feeling like it's just nonstop chaos, challenges, hardships, lessons. Yes, the energies are intensified right now, but it's meant to redirect you faster into a new reality that you actively choose, because we are moving into a stronger place of human empowerment based on the sovereignty of your own energy. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do it alone, meaning there are resources, there are books, there are ways that you can feel supported. And in fact, that's necessary. It's hard to do all of this on our own. We need support and we need new ways of understanding the intense lessons. But this is a redirect into how you can now actively create more of what you want that will happen faster, but it means your energy also has to speed up to be on board with these faster moving frequencies. And not everyone is energetically designed to operate in that way. So maybe some of you you're like, I would rather have the 2-year plan and not the 3-month plan. I want the slower pace. Well, what I'm hearing is that of course you can choose that, and yes, that will be made available to you, but understand that the concept of time is changing and the concept of how long it takes something is changing. So in fact, don't put a timeline on it. Don't declare this will take me 2 years or I need a lot of time to work with this. The truth is you actually need more energetic support and new alignment to work with something. So ask for that. Ask for the breakthroughs. Please show me in a way that I cannot miss exactly what I need to do next. Please make it so evident and so obvious that I know what to choose or where to go next with my energy. Please support me with loving guidance. Please show me in the kindest, most compassionate ways what the next steps are here for my journey. And as you put that request out, it will be fulfilled, and it could be fulfilled in ways that you don't expect. It could be that it shifts overnight. It might take 3 or 4 days for it to shift or longer. But the point is that you are in your place of empowered mastery and you're requesting what you need from the universe and then allowing that to show up and move through you. And again, that's going to shift overnight too, because what I'm seeing for some people is that you're not going to believe it. it. You're going to be like, wait, what? That happened already? I thought that would take 4 months. I thought that would take me 3 more weeks. And so part of how we are accelerating with the energies is we're moving out of our own constructs of time. We're moving out of what we thought it had to be, how it has to look on the calendar. Now, I don't know about you, but I love my calendar. I use my calendar. It keeps me grounded, organized, and practical. But other higher timelines are more active right now as well. And so there are things that you will not be able to put on a calendar. It's going to move you along much faster and sort of like moving into a river. That river is going to pick up in its speed and flow, perhaps even to the point of being uncomfortable. But that is simply the time period we're in. That's the energies that are moving through us. And keep in mind that what they're showing me is that if you feel yourself in a faster moving river, is to align your consciousness with the water, so that you see how the water is supporting you and moving with you, and that the water is attuned to your consciousness, and that's how it's flowing with you and allowing your energy systems to work with that fast-moving water. So water is the example I'm seeing here, but it isn't literal water. It's actually these faster moving frequencies, similar to fast moving light codes that come from the sun, the neutrinos that come from the sun, any of these energy frequencies that are just moving at their own innate speed. That's what we are aligning with. And so that's also the energy that's blasting through our own unconsciousness, that's blasting through what we haven't seen or realized before, and where it can also be intense, exciting, motivating, inspiring. You could feel like you have a new lease on life. You have a new sense of what you want to do. Perhaps a new dream is forming, a new vision for who you came here to be in this world. This can be a time of really expansive openings that connect you to even more that you never would have realized in the previous phases of energy. There is a lot more interdimensional communication and activity on the planet. There's also a lot more galactic influences that are guiding humanity at this time. Many of them are behind the scenes and undisclosed, and they have multiple agendas. So there are many that are also very high vibrating, loving, benevolent, supportive of humanity. And there are others that do not have that same intention. Rather, they're looking for more ways of intruding on our consciousness, empowerment, and frequencies. Part of that is because we are one of the most dynamic planets in the galaxy at this time. We are the place to be. We are the hotspot because so much is being activated within each of us at a deep cellular level. We are sending out these mass flares of consciousness into the galaxy that others are aware of and picking up on. And it's also an exciting time as humanity becomes more energetically conscious and advances in our galactic understandings, because I'm seeing it as we've been so limited for many centuries in our growth. And that serves a purpose. Everything serves a purpose. But as we step more into the fullness of our energetic capabilities, we open up to a lot more tools and gifts. And they're saying that one of the first things that's coming online, or that has been coming online for a long time, is the concept of telepathy and time travel. Now, it's interesting with time travel and working with our understanding of time. They're showing me one of the first Walkmans. You know, a cassette player back in the day, the 80s, right? You better believe I had a Walkman. Okay, they're showing me that our ability to press forward, pause, and rewind with music was one of our first approaches to working with different frequencies and fast forwarding the song, right? Fast forwarding the movie. Fast forwarding now, maybe you just skip commercials. They're saying this lays the groundwork for understanding how quickly frequencies can shift and change. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can press pause. And they're saying all of this is basic kindergarten understanding of time travel, and that as it has advanced, especially in various laboratories and experiments, this is the energy that has been further developed. And now they're showing me a clock, an analog clock, and that as you visualize the hands on the clock speeding up and slowing down, that also helps our brain understand what's possible. And so that's part of how these are teaching tools, is that it helps us conceptualize visually and mentally how time changes and how fluid it can be. And so they're saying, like, look at every device you have that allows you to press pause, fast forward, press play, press rewind, and how all of that helps train you into ways of working with energy that isn't simply linear. And then with telepathy, they're saying that that is coming online much faster, but we look for immediate confirmation and validation. And instead, it's about simply trusting what you're picking up on and what you're sensing and allowing that to be enough to confirm the message. And so with telepathy, it can only align when it's the same frequency, similar to other frequency devices we use, such as AM radio, FM radio, satellite radio. All of those devices are going to sync up because they're on the same frequency. Same with telepathy. There needs to be a frequency match. And now they're showing me walkie-talkies that, the person on the other end has to have that same reciprocal pairing device. They're also saying that if you were to engage in mass telepathy with a lot of people all at once, it would override our systems and it would also not be fully accurate. They're saying that one of the best ways to continue to develop your telepathy skills is, first of all, with other individuals that you trust, who are trustworthy and who have good intentions. And if you do not feel that, then you need to apply certain energy boundaries and protection fields to not allow those distortions or intrusions into your personal field. But you want to ensure basically that telepathy is something that's developed one-on-one for humans at this stage. And that's the best way to work with it and to trust it. And they're also saying to not rush it. And as I say this, I'm visualizing telepathy up in the higher chakras. I'm seeing it in the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, even the throat chakra. And they're saying that it's really pulsing strongly in the heart chakras, and that this is part of how our compassion and support for each other is growing. They're saying that telepathy is not only of the mind, it's meant to be connected with the heart, because the heart is one of our most powerful energy fields as humans. Other beings don't have the heart compassion or love capacity that we hold, and that it's our ability to stay deeply connected to our own love field and our own love frequencies that will continue to support us, as well as differentiate ourselves from other beings in the galaxy. And they're showing me that it's actually what these other beings admire about being human, is that you hold such a loving frequency that others cannot feel or hold in the same way. And this is one of the main frequencies that makes us so special as well as so powerful. And so this, I feel, is the final message that's coming through here, is that what we hold in our heart spaces is deeply connected to our own evolutionary frequencies, and is also where we are becoming more conscious of our power. That these blocks we were talking about, and perhaps that wall or barrier you were feeling, it could be leading you into more of your own heart. And as I say that, I'm seeing a heart quake. Not an earthquake, but a heart quake. Oh, and isn't it interesting that earth and heart have the same letters, just in a different order? And so we're moving into a time of more heartquakes that are deeply connected to human empowerment and moving beyond our own personal blockages that made us afraid to feel, connect, interact, be open, be true, be pure. And they're showing me that for many, getting back to this visual of perhaps feeling like you've entered a new planet or you're moving into a whole new frequency, they're saying that's part of new areas of the heart coming online. And new parts of our heart field is being deeply felt and moving around the earth as well as within the earth as the earth continues to shift and evolve during these dynamic times. It is actually activating more of our capacity to love ourselves, love one another, and to have truer connections of the higher frequencies, but also to then hold those higher frequencies as our new normal. And with that, I feel the energy cut out. The energy is gone. And for those of you who are newer to my podcast, I share these channeled messages rather sporadically, whenever they come up or come through. And I work with a guidance team that is quite galactic. They are certainly a galactic consciousness, and they will shift in their appearance of how I see them. Sometimes they will present themselves as a council. Other times they will present themselves as one solid energy field. Sometimes they will be a persona, but they're all connected to a very high frequency, and they are here to support us, guide us, and offer us knowledge and consciousness that we can use practically and apply in our everyday lives. My first instance of channeling was in 2009. When I was in a very quiet time in my life, when everything had been removed and ended, and I was figuring out what in the world do I do next with myself. And that's when I was drawn to a lot of galactic messages and channeling. And that's where my area of intuitive development went, that I had to learn to trust, because as you know, when you start doing this work, the first thing you do is question it or doubt it. But since I've been working with these energies, they have certainly blossomed and become more real and true for me. And so one of my intentions of sharing this is to allow you to also have those openings for yourself if you so desire, if that speaks to you, but to know that this is something that's available to us and that we can call in and work with as we desire. I do have a playlist for you on YouTube with more channeled messages if you want to go back and listen. I think I started sharing them in 2021 on YouTube. I have written about them. I have books that have channeled messages, such as Your Awakening Self and Conscious Messages. But anyways, if you wanted to listen to any more that might resonate with you, then definitely check out that YouTube channel, as it's my intention to keep those public and free. As always, I will be back every Wednesday and Monday for a new podcast episode. Wednesday is when we go through the weekly astrology energies, and then Monday is when I focus on a particular topic or theme. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this information has supported you in some way, and I look forward to continuing our conversation next time we meet. Have a beautiful day, and I hope to see you back here soon.